Asking an emotional eater to lose weight by eating less is a bit like a doctor telling somebody to stop taking pain medication without treating the pain. Hi, my name's Helen. I'm a food freedom coach, and welcome to Food Freedom Friday Live, where we're going to dig into what the bloody hell happens when a doctor tells you to lose weight. We're going to talk about the shame spiral that kicks off and some of the other triggers that might lead you to leave that doctor's office full of shame or frustration or rage, only to walk straight to your favorite snack aisle at the supermarket and buy all your favorite treats and binge all the way till Monday. If that's ever happened to you, then stay tuned, or you're worried it might, then stay tuned. Today, we're going to talk about why we might end up overeating after a doctor has told you to lose weight and what to do instead, most important. And I want to give you a framework for how to talk to anybody who says something triggering or where you might feel shame, but we're going to use the example of a doctor today. So welcome. If you're joining me live ever, but particularly if you're joining me live today, I see we've got a couple of people online. That's fab. Then I'm going to invite you to put comments in the chats. You can ask further questions, and I will do my best to attend to them in the next sort of 30 minutes or so. But let's dive in, lovely one, because if you are in a body that is bigger than your body needs to be, after years of feeling out of control with food, then I'm here to help you take your power back. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to start by understanding a bit better. And then I'm going to give you what I love to do is to give you a little tool to do things differently going forward. And then lastly, we're just going to talk about, instead of asking yourself, how do I lose weight or what meal plan should I go on? Let's ask some better quality questions, shall we? So we can get to the root of the problem. Okay. So let's begin. What happens inside you? So I'm going to assume that if a doctor has told you that you need to lose weight, it is the doctor's good intention. The doctor's dispensing medical advice without any intention of hurting you in any way. But what I've discovered through so many clients who've been through this exact thing, either in the past or while working with me, is they experience a lot of inner turmoil as the result of somebody saying that they need to lose weight. Something very simple. They don't hear, I need to lose weight. They hear something different. So what do you hear? If you were there right now, or if this has happened to you, what came up inside you as a result of hearing those words? And I'll bet there are two things. There's a story that kicks off, and there's a bunch of very uncomfortable feelings that might rise up as a result. And the story usually sounds not like, oh, I've been told to lose weight. The story sounds like, this doctor doesn't understand. I've tried my hardest. I'm an encyclopedia of diets. I've been on every diet. What is wrong with me? I'm failing. I'm not enough. I'm not trying hard enough. I'm lazy. What does this doctor think of me? And it can escalate and get a lot more critical and a lot more cruel. But it usually starts with a shock to the system, which is something like, but I've tried. How can they not know that that's what I've tried to do? Do they think I'm stupid? Am I an idiot? Am I broken? And so on and so forth. And that shame spiral, that spiral in your head can get very, very nasty indeed. And because of that story that's just kicked off, oftentimes some really powerful emotions rise up within you. This is all going on in a split second after the doctor says something so simple. And oftentimes it can really escalate later. But those emotions, if we were to name them, what would they sound like? Or what would the name of those emotions be? Shame, for sure. Maybe deep guilt about all the things you've done wrong that you wish you hadn't done. Regret. Maybe anger and frustration because the doctor doesn't seem to understand. What else? Disappointment, despondency, hopelessness, despair. What if you've been trying for years to lose weight and they've just told you to do the very thing you've been trying very, very hard to do indeed without success? It brings up a lot of big, embarrassment. Yeah, it brings up a lot of big, big emotions. So if you're an emotional eater, what are you likely to do with big emotions and big time negative thinking? Probably going to do what you've always done with those emotions up until now. You're probably going to reach for food. Sometimes there's punishment. Sometimes eating can be an aggressive act. But sometimes you're eating for food to numb them, to escape them, to run away, or just to push them down. Because, the doctor didn't mean badly. They're just doing their job. My emotions don't count. My emotions don't need to be expressed. And maybe it's not appropriate for you to express all of your emotions in the doctor's office right then and there, but we're going to give you the opportunity to start investigating what's going on inside you so that your emotions and your thoughts finally get the voice that they've wanted. This is the crux. People who are using food in a non-hunger way, so you're not hungry, but you're eating anyway, 9 times out of 10, maybe not 9 times out of 10, an awful lot of the time, you're trying to medicate your own story in your head. You're trying to escape your own emotions, or you're trying to push them down because you don't feel that they are valid. And we're going to give them space to be valid today. Your job is not to try not to be triggered. Your job is to notice the trigger and start to do a little compassionate investigation. And here's what I want to ground you in. You are not failing. You are not broken. You are certainly not lazy. Just show me your calendar. I'll show you how not lazy you are. I bet you've got a lot of to-dos on there. You're certainly none of those things. You are not greedy, and you are not incapable of changing your relationship with food. You are all of the opposite things. And it might take a while for you to truly, truly believe and understand what I'm saying. But hopefully the more you watch these videos and engage with this content, you'll start to come to see that it is true. And I kind of want to give you a huge cuddle, and I want to give the doctors a big cuddle, because I believe, honestly, that if doctors were aware of this, they would do things very differently. So let's talk a little bit about the second thing that happens when a doctor tells you to lose weight. And you probably immediately, mentally at the very least, commit to embarking on a very restrictive diet. Because you are committed to the weight loss, you always have been. And maybe you also want to impress your doctor, or you don't want to fail your doctor. So you do what any normal human being would do. You think, right, I got to cut back, I got to eat less. And maybe you get aggressively restrictive in your mind. And what does that do? And this is what most people don't realize, and doctors certainly don't, otherwise they would never suggest it. That restrictive thinking leads straight towards overeating. If you're somebody, and you probably are, if you're watching this video, who's had a long history of dieting, if you know every diet in the encyclopedia, if you alphabetically can put them from A to Z, and you've done all of them and tried, then there is a high degree of possibility that just thinking about going on the next diet will create the urge to overeat. Your body has learned that you are going to try and restrict it, if not starve it. And it's got wise over the years, and it doesn't let you even get past that first thought before it's sending you bigger desires to eat. You don't even have to be hungry. Your body's just preparing itself for the next inevitable starvation period, and it's doubling down on getting you to eat now while it can get you offline. So that's a huge reason people eat right after leaving the doctor's office, or maybe not immediately, but certainly within the next few days. And so we're just going to say, whoa, no more planning to go on a diet. I know your doctors just said you need to lose weight, and I have no doubt you probably want to, for all the reasons for health that, are out there. However, we're going to pause the idea of going on a diet, because that has not served you in the past, and it will not serve you again. And if anything, it'll probably make you want to eat more. So instead, we're going to start doing the deeper work. And we've already started it here by looking at your feelings and your thoughts and giving them space to be validated and in time expressed. So let's talk about now what to do when a doctor or anybody triggers you. What are you going to say? Now, this can take a while to practice this thing, to get used to doing this, and you can practice it on anybody who triggers you, even in the smallest little way today, to get good at it. So when it happens to you in a big, intense interaction, like a doctor telling you to lose weight, you'll be ready. So first of all, let's take a big, deep breath. Ooh, okay. Secondly, just tune in. And here's the skill you're going to use. And I love this skill. You just say, when you ... I feel ... Simple as that. We're not expecting a reaction from them. We are not attached to how they respond, but it's this simple. So in this context, take a deep breath, slow everything down, tune in to what's going on inside you. And then you say, Dr. Duda, when you tell me to lose weight, and this is probably not the first time you've told me that, I feel frustrated because I think that I'm not trying hard enough. I feel ashamed, I feel embarrassed, etc., etc. Just communicate what's coming up for you. And you'll probably add on to that, because I've tried so hard, doctor, over the years. I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, and I just don't seem to be getting anywhere. And then You can tell your doctor, if you'd like, that now you found a fabulous food freedom coach and you are learning what's truly driving the overeating. And one of the things you've learned is that going on a restrictive meal plan is probably going to make things worse. So now you are proudly and in a very committed way going to do the work to heal your relationship with food, to rebuild peace and safety in your body so that weight loss will be possible at last. And I'm sure you can't wait to tell your doctor you've lost weight in the future. But it could take some time, lovely ones. We're not saying this is an overnight job. We have to heal our relationship with food first, and we have to understand what's been driving all the non-hunger eating first. So on that note, when you're walking away from the doctor's office, instead of thinking, what meal plan should I go on? How am I going to lose weight? Let's just put that to one side, and instead let's ask the question, what is driving all of this non-hunger eating? And if you're unsure, then you can watch a full masterclass. It's about an hour long. The link is below. It's called the Food Freedom Formula, where I go deeply into the 5 core reasons that I see people are reaching for food in a non-hunger way. And when you start working on those, we've already started a bit of that today, you will be amazed how the desire to overeat starts to come down, the urges start to bugger off, and you will completely change what could be years or decades of feeling out of control with food. Okay, so that's my speech for today. If you are watching and you have any further questions, please shoot them at me now. If you also got value from this video, I would love you to smash the like button and the subscribe button so we can make sure other emotional eaters out there, people who feel out of control with food, can start hearing this content so they can start blaming themselves and they can start getting the help that they need and practicing the real world actionable skills that will change this. Because if there's one thing you'll know about me, or you already know it already, is that I love a bit of action. I love entertaining you, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here to help you take action. And I would love you to practice the when you ... I feel skill today. So here's a little homework assignment for you. If something happens today that triggers you and you feel something comes up inside you, big emotion, or maybe just a small one, but something, right? And you feel, oh, I've been triggered. The kind of thing that ideally would have made you reach for food in the past. I'd love you to, you can do this in your head or you can say it out loud. When you cut me off in traffic, I felt shocked, afraid, nervous. I felt like you didn't care. I thought that, whatever. Just start naming what's happened and what you experience internally as a result. That skill alone will start driving some really exciting changes, because when you share what's coming up for you, more often than not, you get a really good response from those with whom you've shared. And I'd bet that if you said to your doctor, when you told me to lose weight, I felt shame, or I felt embarrassed, or I felt frustrated, or I felt angry, and I felt unseen, and I felt unheard, and I felt like you thought I was lazy, when in fact I tried very hard. And I'd love your support instead of your judgment. I bet your doctor would shift the way in which they work with you. And I think they'd be your biggest supporter. And they'd probably start wondering in their minds what might really be going on under the surface. And then they might be coming up with some other suggestions for you, which might be truly helpful, right? So we could make a whole nother video on what we'd love doctors to say. And in fact, I'd love you to comment below this video if there's something you just wish your doctor would say to you instead of you need to lose weight, or a question you'd wish they'd ask you. I asked a client that once, and my client said something like, I wish they'd just asked me if I was okay. I actually think, that's the heart of it, isn't it? Because if you're okay, you probably wouldn't be medicating with food, right? If they just asked what's going on in your life, wouldn't that be amazing? I see that you've gained weight. I've seen that you struggle to lose weight. What's going on beneath the surface? How are you sleeping? How are your relationships? Man, wouldn't it be amazing if doctors could start looking at us as more than just calories in, calories out machines, and start investigating what might be going on underneath. All right, that's it for today's Freedom Friday. I'd love to, I see another comment, but I can't see it for some reason. Here we go. Asking for a friend. Thoughts on doctors pushing GLP-1s onto their patients? Oh God. Well, I'm glad you asked this question, because unfortunately, I've seen this quite a bit in some of the clients that I worked with, where, in fact, one client in particular that I'm thinking of went to visit the doctor, and the doctor wanted her to lose weight and immediately advocated for using a GLP-1. I can't remember which one, but immediately and horrifyingly didn't even help her understand what it was, what the side effects was, or what the precautions she needed to take. So doctors jumping straight to GLP-1. I mean, I've got some personal judgments about it, which I think you can guess what they are. Again, I wish they'd asked the deeper questions. But I think for somebody who feels that they are being pushed into a corner by a doctor who's really pushing the GLP-1 on them, and who could blame a doctor? Maybe the doctor's just feeling a bit desperate to help that person, or really, really wants that weight shift for whatever reason, for an operation, whatever. And they really are doing it from a place of good intent, because maybe they feel a bit powerless. You're feeling powerless. Maybe the doctor also feels powerless because they don't understand this stuff. And I would say, well, if you've watched this video, you can always choose to use a GLP-1, but I'd rather it came from a powerful choice. So the first thing I would say, again, turn your attention inwards. What is your feeling? Let's listen to your intuition about a GLP-1. I have nothing against them. I'm sure there was a time in my life I absolutely would have used one. So with that in mind, tune into you. And I recognize you're asking this for somebody else. So this is the advice I'd give that person is, what do they want? Do they want it to be on a GLP-1? Is there part of them that's just longing to try it or go on one? Then brilliant. Listen to that intuition. But if there's another part of them saying, this doesn't feel right for me, I don't feel safe with this, I don't understand it, see if you can name that as well. Now, ideally, you're going to catch this in the doctor's office. So why don't we practice the skill when I feel? So when you say I need to be on a GLP-1 medication, what comes up for me is fill in the gap. And let's see where we go from there. I'm afraid. I don't understand it. I feel like I'm being forced to use something. I am feeling resistance. Again, we're not attached to how the doctor is responding, but advocating for yourself, speaking your thoughts, sharing your feelings with somebody is not only hugely powerful for you, because I bet you're not used to that, or she or he isn't, but it actually begins to gets you used to knowing that your thoughts, your needs, your emotions have value, and you get in the habit of learning to share them instead of bottling them all down. So, I mean, actually, it was kind of the perfect question because it gave us an opportunity to use the skill. But the key for me is to tune into what you need. All of the work that I do is about starting to listen inwardly, listening to your hunger, listening for non-hunger, listening to your thoughts, listening for emotions, and starting to advocate for you in a powerful way. You spend a lifetime hiding, you've spent a lifetime suppressing. And because this can be challenging, and because it often won't feel safe to speak up, this is big, big, big courageous work. But even practicing it, doing it later, if you didn't do it in the moment, is a way of learning. And I have a client this week in a group call who started this work of advocating for herself, of speaking up and asking for her needs and sharing what's going on for her. And at first it was just the most anxiety-ridden experience, but she kept receiving really positive feedback with people who were safe and wanted to know what she needed and wanted. And now she shared in the group coaching on Thursday that for the first time, she's starting to ask for what she needs, but without that feeling of panic inside her body. And that is the perfect example of how this work works. In the past, that feeling of panic or fear might have led her to eat. But now she's learning that she can ask for what she wants, rest or whatever, some help. And oftentimes it's well received. And she's realizing that the benefits of that are her body's integrating that work and she's no longer feeling fear. And so she's not reaching for food, because she's asking for her needs and she's getting good experiences from that. We won't always, not all doctors will be warm and kind and supportive. I acknowledge that. And if I was working with you, I'd be working with you step by step on this. But beginning the work of advocating for you and speaking up and speaking out is part of food freedom. It really, really is. It's challenging. So I'm going to give you a big cuddle and say this is not easy work. But if you're watching this and you're willing to try some of these skills today, try it with the small stuff. Somebody doesn't pick up their socks. Bobby, when you don't pick up your socks in the afternoon, what comes up for me is you think I'm the maid or whatever, right? Just start advocating for yourself in the small ways and it'll be there for you in the big ones, all right? But this is the work. No more pushing things down with food. No more punishing yourself with food. No more feeling like you're greedy or lazy or broken. You're not. You were born free. You were born free with food. I'm here to help you get back there. And when you're there and you've rebuilt the trust that you can speak up and the trust that you can listen to hunger, those urges will dissipate and the weight loss will have a chance for the first time in a very long time to actually move, but it's slow work. So if you're on this journey, I want to give you a big cuddle and say, well done for being here. Keep showing up, keep doing the work. It does start to move the needle, and it does move you towards freedom. You do not have to suffer with these urges for the rest of your life. You can actually come to a place where they just don't show up at all. So thank you, everybody, for being here today. Oh, it's a pleasure, Maddie Mac. Absolute pleasure. I love to be here. I will see you at the end of June, last Friday of every month. We're doing a Freedom Friday Live. If you have questions or big things that are coming up for you between now and then, pop them in the comments or send me a message, and we'll make sure we integrate that into the next Freedom Friday live at lunch on the last Friday of every month. If you've enjoyed this, smash that thumbs up, watch the masterclass if you haven't, and if it's resonating for you, as always, I invite you to book a short 30-minute call with me. Let's talk about whether the work that I do is the right fit for you and how that might look going forward if we were to work together. We can do self-study, group coaching, or private, whatever floats your boat. Let's just get you the help that you need. Have a beautiful Freedom Friday. Have a wonderful weekend ahead, and I'll see you at the end of next month. Cheers, Freedom Fighters. See you then. Bye.